Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts, Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are going sci-fi, and we're reviewing Shin Ultraman.
Dun, dun,
Yes.
dun.
Yes. Joining me this week are my co-host.
You can't see it, but I just slapped my butt.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Oh,
Wow.
glad.
You went there, huh?
Now I
If you
have
see
that
the
visual.
movie, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Oh, okay. Let me introduce my crew, starting off with the butt slapper himself, Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I can do it merely by thinking.
Oh,
Wow.
dear God.
Ah.
What?
You're an HR nightmare.
What?
Also joining this week is Living Dead Girl, the one and only Crystal Cleveland. How you doing, Crystal Cleveland?
I was much better before we started the podcast. No.
That
I'm
Zerum
fine.
said that. Zerum said that.
Yeah.
Whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Also joining us this week is award-winning
It's
filmmaker
wonderful.
Christopher G. Mohr. How you doing, sir?
I'm trying to
Yes!
laser away.
And then he does that.
Trying to
he's
laser
like-
away the thoughts of Jeff
Oh, it's
slapping
this.
his ass.
It's this. It's this, and then that, and then yeah. He's like,
And then he-
I'm not gonna lie. I
dabs.
actually did
He
it.
dabs.
Yeah.
He dabs a
He
bit.
did it.
Yes, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. We're going to have a good time tonight, guys. Be sure to join us. So what we're going to do when we get into the review, we're going to start off giving you our first impressions. Those first impressions will be spoiler free, and then we'll get into a discussion. We'll get into spoilers. There's a few, not really that many.
Yeah.
It's sci-fi goofiness. And then we'll wrap things up with a score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. Of course, we hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others that we have on the site. And if you do, please hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend buttons. Each click will go a long way and help us find more horror fans just like you.
Yes.
And speaking of that, I don't know how this segs into it, but we'll go with it. We are celebrating 10 years of H&R and Gruesome Magazine and decades of horror. Right, Jeff? Decades of horror.
Yes, we are.
We started in April of 2013 with Horror News Radio reviewing Evil Dead, the 2013 remake, which coincidentally, we reviewed Evil Dead Rise. Yeah, that one right there. With the beginning of celebrating our 10 years. So that was kind of awesome. But a huge thank you from me to all the other Grue-Crew for hanging in there for all these years. It's wonderful. And new family, new friends, love it.
Yes.
And thank to you all listening. We're going to be celebrating all year, and it concludes in February, the end of February, with our inaugural Grue-Cruise. Yes, we'll be cruising out of Florida. We'll be doing 3 nights. It will be basically 3 days of horror and fun in the sun. Yeah, we'll just screw that one up really good.
Yeah.
Go to gruesomemagazine.com/Grue-Cruise and find out more. Let's get to the card and get the show going, shall we? Oh, dear. Oh, this is going to go bad. All right, Shin Ultraman. It's a 2022 film, but it's coming over here in 2023, here being stateside from Cleopatra Entertainment. They're distributing it here. Available on VOD July 4th, 2023. That's kind of fun. On Blu-ray and DVD July 11th, 2023. Synopsis is as the threat of giant unidentified life forms known as S-class species worsens in Japan, a silver giant appears from beyond Earth's atmosphere. That oversimplifies everything in this movie, but we'll go with
Big
it.
time.
It's not incorrect. It's directed by Shinji Higuchi and written by Hideaki Anno, and a whole cast of names I cannot pronounce. And we'll leave it at that.
Yes, that's a good call.
Good
Go
call.
with the director and writer, and the cast are great. So, yay! All right, let's get into this. Let's find out what our first impression of Shin Ultraman. I'm going to say Shin Godzilla because it's in the Shin universe. There's 3 Shin movies: Shin Godzilla, Shin Ultraman, and then something writer. I can't remember. Or
What
somebody.
makes it Shin?
Yeah.
It's the new generation.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're
The Shin
rebooting it.
era. Is that
Yeah,
what
there's-
are?
I guess so. I guess so.
Cool.
But regardless, what I want to know is, were you a fan of any of the Ultraman series? For many of us, the 66, 67 original series is the one that we probably remember on when we were youngins, maybe. But
I don't think
there
that's
are
gonna
it's
be very many people.
Not maybe, but there are
Sorry.
years and years and years of Ultraman, and it's amazing. Sometimes there's 7 of them, sometimes there's 1. Anyway, let's get on to this one. Let's find out what our first impression was. And Crystal, start us
good.
off.
So, I have never seen Ultraman before ever in my life.
Did you
This
know
is
what
my
Ultraman was?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I've seen some kaiju films and stuff, but only like Godzilla and Mothra and like the bigger. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess this is a hot market here. I will tell you, I loved this movie. I do like kaiju films, and I was a little concerned because I feel like the modern day kaiju films they can try too hard or try, like some of them I'm like, oh, okay, but it didn't feel like a Godzilla film or it didn't feel like this or whatever. But this felt like a modern day film still with that that same cheesiness and like this movie's funny, y'all. Okay, like the characters I really love the characters. I laughed a lot. Like their interactions, they're really funny and they're meant to be funny. Like the chick is like, this guy's an imbecile. I mean, it's so funny. When it first started, I was a little overwhelmed because there was a lot of text on the screen when it was showing. It was kind of scrolling through some kaiju characters. But as it gets into the film and you discover that they've created this organization, the SSSP organization, I loved it. We got to know the characters. I mean, actually, I did start to confuse. The group's kind of big. So I did confuse, some of the ancillary ones, like with the main, Ultraman and the main girl. I obviously have down. It had a little bit of like close to romance, which was cute and sweet, and I think it was shot really well. There were some shots that I really loved, like her reaching into the chip bag, and I mean the way they did some really cool things with the cinematography here. Yes, and he's CGI or whatever, and he looks really weird, but I love it. He kind of looks like what's the bendy character? Like from Gumby?
Stretch Armstrong or something? Oh, Gumby.
No, like Gumby. Like Gumby. He kind of reminds me of Gumby, like and then he kind of like, he kind of undulates or something. I don't know. I had a really good time with it. So, there's a lot to the story too. Like you kind of get into it and it seems kind of quick and we wind up getting to this halfway point that I was like, oh God, is this the end? Because it felt like it was wrapping things up and then you realize that's just the beginning of the betrayal. But yeah, I loved it. Other than the end, which I'm not going to give any spoilers but I'm like, what?
No.
But yeah, if you like kaiju films, I think you'll enjoy this for sure. It's fun, it's quirky, it's weird, it's funny, and it's good.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, many Ultraman fans may be from the Netflix animated series here stateside. That's been going on for the past 3 or 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Which is tangentially related. All right, let's go with Jeff Mohr. Jeff, sir, what was your first impression of Ultraman Shin?
You said tangential, but I'm not going there.
No, don't.
Well, I have no history with this whatsoever. I haven't seen the closest thing to this that I've seen is Inframan.
Inframan
70s. And I've seen some kaiju films, not anywhere near all of them, but a fair amount. this is like, I had to take notes. I really to tell.
Oh wow.
I mean, it is so packed full of stuff. There's like multiple bad guys. We start off with like unidentified life forms 1, unidentified life form 2, and then they start calling them kaiju. They go through this whole thing. Then we get number 7. Then we get number 8, and then at some point, a guy calls himself unidentified life form 0. So, and science up the wazoo. They start literally talking about the Planck brain, and a brain is a really high tech thing in quantum mechanics. It's short for membrane, but it's I kind of understand it, but not good enough to explain it to anybody. And Planck, that was at Planck's constant. He was a famous physicist from the turn of the century. But I mean, they're spitting that out. They're putting calculus, integrals, derivatives, equations all over this whiteboard. This guy's got, and the monsters were cool. I love the monsters. I mean, the kaiju that we see before we get to the other creatures, they're all cool. Even the humanoid type ones are pretty cool. Anyway, I'll wait for more discussions, and I don't want to mistakenly give something away, but I really like the effects. It's different, but it seems to fit. It seemed really good. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, maybe Christopher, I think, probably will.
Maybe probably will. There's a lot of technique in here, good or bad. All right, Christopher G. Mohr. What was your first impression of Shin Ultraman?
Well, and first of all, I mean, when I was growing up, I feel like I've watched Ultraman somewhere, and there was actually a Super Nintendo game I played of Ultraman as well growing up. I really enjoyed the action, and I think this is one of the few times where, when I was watching it, I expected it to just be fully people in suits, big monster suits. And then I was watching like, wait a minute, this is CGI, but it's made to look like, it's CGI, but it's made to look like people in suits, in monster suits and stuff, or Ultraman suits. But it's done so well, from the movements to where it's one of those things to where, like, you watch movies and you see like the uncanny valley kind of throws you out of it. I was never thrown out of it with the monster stuff. I think it does run into the issue with a lot of kaiju stuff when we get to the people part. Yeah, it's funny in parts, but there's like 20-minute meetings. Like, monsters fight, let's have a meeting. Monsters fight, let's have a meeting with military. Monsters fight, let's have a meeting with the prime minister. So it gets a little, and I will say, I do agree they have a lot of cool shots. There's, especially with the monster stuff, there's like one shot where it's like, without giving anything away, there's a wide shot between Ultraman and the monster, and the power lines go from the edge of the screen to the middle of the screen, and it's so composed. I would like that as a painting on my wall. So there's scenes where you see that. Now, they do a lot of different shots. It's like, oh, man, it's like they were kind of bored. Like, I'm kind of bored of just shooting meetings normally. So let's have 50 shots in one scene from every. They have. I mean, there's more. The camera moves in this movie. There's more. There's more angles than a protractor in this movie, to where I was like, there's really no need. And as a filmmaker, it started getting annoying, because it's like, it almost like, it felt like I was watching, like, if somebody put like 100 security cameras in the room, and it's like, oh, we're being cool because we're gonna frame this person between this. Oh, but we had, and they just like, forget the 180 rule when it comes to filmmaking. We're just gonna go all over. We're gonna do overhead. We're gonna do over here. We're gonna do from here, and because a lot of times you use camera shots to sort of evoke certain things, But when you start just doing crazy shit for no reason, it kind of gets a little extreme and extraneous. So I was
Kaiju.
and they but and on top of that, the editor it was like they edited so quickly and there's really no need. So it was like, I mean, I understand talking scenes are boring sometimes, but good God, please stop. I really think the editor was on crack. And he just like, oh, I gotta put all these shots.
He's on a deadline. He's on a deadline.
Yeah. So that's the only thing that drove me nuts, because there were some really cool. There's some really composed and well framed shots of the what they call the mise en scene and things. But really, there's really no need to put a million shots in a scene where people are at a table. I'm sorry, because then it just calls attention to itself for no reason. So that's the only thing that kind of threw me out, because every time we go that, I was like, let's see how many different crazy shots these crazy mofos are going to do this time. And it's like, oh, we missed this crazy shot in the last talking head scene. So
we forgot the potato chips. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I granted, I like, and as someone that likes to, Crystal knows this. I'd like to throw some crazy shots in there, but like, does every shot have to be from every angle possible? I was like, that was kind of stupid. It's like, you just use those sparingly. When you overuse it, it's just like, just throw some sugar on top of sugar and throw some sugar on top of that for no reason. So I have diabetes of the eyes by the end of it.
Diabetes.
So did you like it?
I did like it. I enjoyed it. And I think mainly for a lot of the monster stuff. But yeah, it did kind of slog when it would get to them talking and stuff. But I'd rather watch the talking scenes, even though the camera movements annoyed me. I'd rather watch the talking scenes of this than like the Godzilla movies and the American Godzilla movies, where he didn't care about the people and stuff. This one actually cared about the people much more. So it was interesting. But yeah, let's just stop with the million different camera angles. Believe me, I'm usually the first like, oh, I like this for the camera stuff, but it's just too much.
No, man. I found those entertaining, and for that one scene where there was like a whole gaggle of them in a row, to me it felt like it was communicating the chaos of the conversation. So I enjoyed it, but yeah, it did pull me out of the experience a little bit, because it was so like, what, we get the shoe shot, we get the under the behind the ear shot, we get the coffee table shot, we get the coffee cup shot. It was just crazy, but it was. They framed everybody who was talking in such a strange way. Anyway, that's for the discussion part of it. For me, if anybody's like me and a fan of the OG Ultraman from the late 60s, as when it came over to the States, it calls back to that show much more than some other Ultraman series have. It has, if you're familiar with it, it has the music at the beginning, and it has the swirling logo reveal in kind of this very trippy art style, and it has the music, and there's also the famous pose of him coming at the camera with his fist out, and it brought back a lot of fun memories for me, because I loved that original series, and I've loved the character, but I've never really gotten into all the other Ultraman as much, and didn't realize. I've seen some of them, but I didn't realize how many there are. There are so many. I mean, basically from 67 all the way through 1980, it was every year there was an Ultraman show, different titles. Anyway, so coming to this one, having all that in it really made me happy, and I enjoyed this. The kaiju that we get are delightful and innovative, and each one has, like they should, if you ever watched the series, have their own little power and makeup, although they did kind of tie two of them together, which was interesting. And for me, it's interesting because this doesn't have your typical 3-part act storyline. This basically has 4 segments, with each one has its own 3-part act. Because you got the kaiju, then you have a series of aliens. And each one gets a little more interesting and then finally resolves the plot. So I enjoyed the hell out of this. And yes, Crystal, I want more as well. I hope we get some more. And to me, it's lighthearted, it's fun. It has enough to excite the kids. It has enough going on to keep adults entertained that have an interest in or a remembrance of these old shows. It's well balanced in that way. The effects are pretty fun. It's to me, it's a home run. I really, really enjoyed it. Yes,
they could have cut out some conversations, but.
Well, I mean, okay, so in Shin Godzilla, it was all about the politics of it. So there's all these.
This has a lot of politics.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hilarious about how they talk about America and talk about their own country.
Did I hear him say, like, the B-2 bombers come over? Well, first off, the Americans aren't going to be. We're spoilers now, right?
We're in spoilers.
Yeah.
The Americans aren't interested in kaiju. All they can do is send us stuff.
But we are interested in the aliens.
But when but when it's ET, then they got to get involved. And then when the bombers dump their loads and they head for home, they go, well, it'll take them. Did he say take them 6 months? To
God,
Jeff. They would have to purchase it again. Yeah.
What? What
What
did I say?
Drop their loads.
That's what you call it.
I think that's accurate, actually, but it's kind of funny out of context.
It's a payload. Drop their payload.
What happens when you slap their ass? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was cool. I mean, they showed inside the bomb bay doors. I don't know if that's what it really looks like or not, but they imagined something anyway that was pretty cool.
They hit their target, too. That was awesome.
Yeah. They were amazingly accurate. Yeah.
Well, I will say the special effects was really on point and throughout. I mean, because there's like so many things they had to do, from just the recreation of these. I mean, the monsters, I think, for them to sort of create that interesting valley between like rubber monsters to like realistic monsters. I mean, even the creating a large version of the one girl walking through like Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. I mean,
that was fun.
They did so many great different special effects that even just I could have done with the guy in the trench coat alien, which looked kind of goofy, but even the alien that almost like didn't have a back to it. It was just like more of a front thing.
Yeah,
I mean, the designs, even like the end thing that was creating up in the space or whatever, very beautiful. And I mean, luckily it is one of those things to where it's sci-fi, so you can just make whatever it is, and it may not make any sense logically, but because it's fantastical, you don't really worry about it. But I think whoever created the designs from the monsters, I mean, you have the invisible monster, or like how they did that, or how they
Gabora or something.
Monster.
Even how I was even paying attention to when they're fighting and you see them fighting on the ground and stuff, even how they kind of recreated the ground, which looks like it's like a bigature or whatever, but it's not. I mean, it's like they really paid attention to making it like it's a set thing, but it's not. I mean, I don't know, maybe parts of it were set, but I would assume a lot of it's probably more CGI. But I don't know, I was amazed at the attention to detail with all the special effects throughout. I mean, really, they could have easily just went kind of cheesy, and they would have gotten away with it. But I think they put some effort into the special effects, and even when it gets kind of wonky, when you see like at the end with the Ultraman's going do 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 do, just like a bad video effect. I was like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, when he first fights Gabora and he goes, I was like, I'm in. I'm in.
Stuff,
I'm good. You win.
That drilling thing, was that Naranga?
A Gabora, I think. Yeah, Gabora. That first one.
I love the drill.
No, that wasn't the first one.
The first one was the invisible one.
The first one was Gabora.
Okay, then the one that had the drilling nose and the tails was Naranga, I think.
See, I lost the names after that. I only
don't know.
remember.
I just
the
go
first
drill
one.
monster or invisible monster. That's what I
Yeah.
go by.
Yeah, they get super. It's
Or
like
no,
okay.
maybe that was Gabora. You're right. Naranga was the first one. Gabora was the one with the drilling head and tail.
Yeah,
Absolutely
because that's when
Crystal.
they first were
bad.
trying to when he was trying to suck the electricity and
Well,
stuff.
yeah, and they had this whole thing about how he shoots
yeah,
his
the
beam at the
radiation.
first one and explodes it, right?
Mm-hmm.
His ion beam or whatever it was, and then they're like worried. Oh my God, he hope he doesn't shoot it at Gabora because it's eating radiation and it could be a nuclear explosion. And then later on, they're like, going, oh,
He's
he didn't use his
protecting us.
beam. He must. How does he know that?
It just pops in its head.
Boo! It's so awesome. The way Ultraman looks is so creepy, but cool too. Like it looks, he's got such
Well,
a
he's
weird
got this
shape,
goofy
and
mouth
I
on
love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't know.
It does,
It's,
And it's oddly expressive too for something that isn't
Yeah.
expressive, because like every time he would turn around and look at the humans, there was something about it.
You attributed some sort of emotion to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they
I
created
know.
weight with it is too, because if they were doing some person in a monster, he would have turned his head really quick. But he's like,
Yeah.
the way he would move like slowly, and I think the physical performance, however they did that, really worked.
What was really good was Gabora, the drilling thing. When it was walking and it's like drill bit nose or head is spinning. You're saying it's walking slow, but it's also like it's getting shook back and forth by this thing. The way it was doing it, I thought was amazingly good.
There's a crazy POV shot from that too. I love.
Yeah.
Looking down the snout of the drill.
I mean, they put a lot of work into this. Clearly, like
And
Cleopatra.
they're distributing the toe, but I really enjoyed the characters. Now,
yeah,
a lot of times the human characters can get very dull and put you to sleep, but here there was enough going on with them, and especially our lead female who had
Mm-hmm.
a variety of interests. From one getting back to she wanted to go back to her old department, right, or whatever, kind of a CIA-ish department, and then I don't even want to get into it, but each one of the characters had their own personality and they worked well together, and the boss was cool, and then they would go and talk to the prime minister and other stuff, and they were all worried about Ultraman. I thought it was great.
There is a lot of politics, yes. So
Yes.
that is a
it
thing.
is, and that's
yeah,
common,
for sure.
especially in the early Godzilla movies. It's about the terrible. I mean, they make that one comment about the one guy says, "I didn't awaken the kaiju; it was the humans that did it with the way they're devastating the environment. Is what brought the kaiju back." And then the government is like, they're bashing the government every chance they get. Well, that was pretty quick for government. Yeah, there must be something else going on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. And you might want to, for those who don't know, you might want to think of Ultraman to Japan as Doctor Who is to England, right? It has that longevity of a sci-fi series that has decades of fans, and Ultraman is that way. Godzilla is the same for them, but yeah.
But Ultraman's like a person. He's different. He's
more
still
like a Doctor Who.
Yeah, I agree. Well, especially because he's part human, which is are they all part human?
They tend to be. Yeah, they tend to. They always have that little
machine thing.
I forget what they called it, but it goes. Usually they point the sky and hit the button, and off they go. They grow into.
Was
Ultraman.
it the beta box or something?
The beta box, yeah, the beta. There's a real cool shot of him coming out of when he was doing the brain thing that you were talking about, and he comes out and his hand comes out and grabs the other guy's brain, guy's box. It was really well done. Anyway, why don't we go ahead and wrap this up? Let's give our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene.
Okay.
Let's do that. Crystal, you're up first.
Okay. So I'm going to give this a 4. I mean, it's not going to be on my top 10 because it's not horror, but It's a 4. It's good. It's fun. It's exciting. I want to see more. I don't understand why they ended it the way they did, but I'm sure there's a way around that. There's some cool stuff in this. And my favorite scene is, sorry, it has to be the social media stuff.
Oh, that is hilarious.
I was dead. And then I love how all that work to go through all the different angles of her looking like a bit, all these shots. I was like, they went through a lot of work of making it look like,
That she was walking down the street.
Her being devastated was the funniest thing ever. I mean, they're like, but you're famous. You're trending. You're totally trending. I don't know. That was funny. I mean, there's a lot of scenes I could pick, but that's the one that I literally laughed out loud and I was dying. I was like, oh my God. When he saved her. Yeah. So cool.
And when he's sniffing her.
Oh, that too.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
That was hilarious.
She was like,
okay, that's enough there. Thank you.
Well, it made me think of Marvin the Martian too, Spacium 133.
Oh, man. Jeff, what's your score and your favorite scene?
Boy. I'm going to go 4-2. I think being in a position where I've never seen any of these before and not knowing all the callbacks there might have been to other parts of the series, I might have gone even higher. I just was really impressed with the way they did the effects. So 4. My favorite scene was the virtual reality math summit the guy was in when and I can't remember what his name was.
Oh,
Taki?
yes.
And he's got the virtual reality goggles on, and I don't know. I was dying because it was all. I mean, everything they put in there was real. I don't know what Planck's brain is, but I know what Planck's constant is, and I know what a brain is. Not a human brain, but a BRANE brain. So it's all the calculus and all that. That was all real math terms that they were throwing out there. So it was interesting to me that they went to the point, even to the point of them saying, you have to do this thing with our calculation within a millisecond, right? And so then they show a timer going on that's measuring milliseconds. They actually went out that many digits on the clock. So I just little details like that was impressive to me.
Very good. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher G. Mohr, your score, your favorite scene.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think the special effects and some of the framing of some of the fights and stuff is really gorgeous to look at. But again, just stop with the million camera angles. Night of a million camera angles. I'll give it a 3.5. I enjoyed it. But I think if they hadn't gone full hog and like seeing how many camera angles, this has to be the Guinness Book of World Records, the most camera angles in a meeting scene. Just
full hog.
It just like really. Again, I like a good camera angle, but if you do like too many, it becomes obvious and it kind of pulls me out. And then I'm like, oh, what are we gonna do next? Oh, up here. Oh, down here. Oh, there. Oh, there. Oh, there. Oh. Now we're inside their eyeball or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, as for favorite scene, I think it's the I can't remember which monster it is, but I think I just like the framing of the shot. I think the again, there's a shot where, like I mentioned earlier, where it's like all the power lines. Maybe it's the first monster, I guess, but all the power lines are going in, and like Ultraman is like on one side and the monster's on the other side, and he's like moving in, and it's like that shot does not need to be that beautiful in something for like a kaiju movie, really. I mean, there's so many like really gorgeous, beautiful shots involving, some of the scenes, even some of the scenes revolving around like the cities and stuff. It's so beautifully done. So whoever did the special effects for this movie, kudos, because it looks gorgeous AF. So, but yeah, I have to say, just had the framing of that. I was like, ooh,
It was
this.
awesome.
I mean, it looked like literally like a painting. You can make a painting of that, and it would look just gorgeous on your wall. So yeah, I have to just to say that.
Well, A for composition. All right, I'm giving this a 4 as well. This is my jam. I love these kind of films. I love kaiju films, and I really enjoyed this Ultraman version. My favorite scene. I've got 2 parts. First part is every callback to the original show. You know, the opening Ultraman reveal, logo reveal, and him going up into space with his arm out. Pure, you know, from the original. Loved it. But my favorite scene is when Ultraman arrives for the first time. And it lands, comes out of like a meteor, poof, and there's all the smoke, and then he comes out of the smoke, and I think he's all green and gray. He's not red yet, so he's different.
Yeah, what's the deal with can you tell me what that means? What's the green versus the red?
It's
I think at one point they said he was absorbing stuff, and that's what made it change.
Yeah, because that was wild.
Yeah. I mean, because he didn't change into the red and silver version.
Well, didn't he become the red guy when he merged with Kaminaga?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and
that he was
right, and that changed his power source, and it would drain. It wouldn't last forever. So as it drained, his color would change.
Back to green.
Yeah, back to the original color. But anyway, when he landed and just came out, it was a great superhero shot, you know, because basically this is a superhero movie with kaiju in it. I loved it. I knew I was in. I was already in, but I was in when that happened. Because I love the first 2 monsters. The first 2 monsters are fantastic. And then there's the one monster we get to see that they did on their own, and they froze it or turned it into concrete or something. I forget what it was. It was just this quick shot. Right, of all the ones that they were
at the beginning.
That's like all the kaiju that came before.
Yeah, that went a little too fast for me. I think having to see all the words and stuff, I had a hard time reading everything that was happening.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. That is our review of Shin Ultraman.
Yep.
So there are a number of Ultraman fans out there that are happy, I'm sure, that we're doing this, and I appreciate you guys, stepping into the sci-fi side of things.
I love it. It was fun. I love sci-fi. I do like kaiju films, though. If they're good, this one was.
I love monster movies, and kaiju films are monster movies through and through. So
fair enough. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So, and this was great. Very happy. I was nervous, and I was very happy. I was nervous how you guys would take it, because these can be very. They're obviously it's targeted toward younger audiences, and they can get really kid friendly. And this
is it targeted toward young audiences? I don't know.
Not this movie, but the character has been. Yeah, the character has been in the past.
I get that. Yeah.
And there's been variations, right? Some that lean heavy into it, and then others that try to steer away. And this one, I really like the mix here. I thought it was quite fun. So anyway,
well, I wouldn't mind it again just to watch the visuals, because it's like Christopher was saying, and Crystal, the dialogue is so fast that by the time I read it, I didn't get all the cutting because I'm reading the dialogue.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, because we're reading the subtitles.
And it was dense. You didn't know what was going on if you didn't read the dialogue. There was a part where I lost focus, and I watched it 2 times. Sorry, guys, I had to do it.
Of course he did.
But I lost focus for like a half an hour, and comes back on, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? What is going on? It's pretty fast paced. You got to pay attention to.
Yeah, because the plot takes left turns and right turns at kind of as it wants to. All right. What's that?
Lots of talking.
Lots of talking. Not when it comes to the kaiju, though.
No.
And they didn't mess around. They pretty much just got them into business where they started tearing things up. So that's what you want. You don't want them just walking around in the woods for a while. You want them to get there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Jeff, Crystal, Christopher, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
Yahoo! Thanks.
Yay.
Yahoo. All right. Let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Gruesome Magazine.